Here at 110 Hobbies, there's all sorts of sweet stuff to play with. I personally love to play with everything in the store, but I've been advised by my production partner, Aiden, that I'm to look with my eyes and not look with my grubby little hands, because I tend to break everything that I touch. And at Next Door Productions, we simply don't have the budget to replace all this stuff. At 110 Hobbies, they have all sorts of cool RC things like trains and cars and planes, and they got these figurines you can make into like wartime scenarios and tanks and boats and Warhammer. I don't even know what Warhammer is. And they got these missiles you could shoot at the moon.
They're rockets, actually.
Fine. They got rockets you could shoot at the moon.
You can't shoot at the moon. Sorry.
Fine, we won't shoot at the moon. You live another day, moon. At 110 Hobbies, they have something for everybody. I'm Wade Barris. We're at 110 Hobbies in Pembroke, Ontario, and this is indie business. They have to have something you could shoot at the moon.
Oh, isn't the moon the worst? Like, what are you doing up there all day? Just staring at us, you creep? Get a life, you peeping Tom, or I'm getting a restraining order. We're at 110 Hobbies, where owner Paul Riddick invited Aiden and I into his store to talk all things RC. Said, Wade, you could pretty much play with anything you want here. So I grabbed his plane, and he said, maybe not everything, Wade. Let's get to the interview, shall we?
We're here at 110 Hobbies in Pembroke, Ontario. I'm joined by owner Paul Riddick. Paul, you're not originally from the Ottawa Valley. You grew up in British Columbia. Now, kind of walk me through kind of the passion that happened at an early age with RC cars and what led you to kind of form those steps to move to the Ottawa Valley and open up a thriving hobby store.
My dad was really interested in radio control stuff. He flew aircraft as a kid, so it kind of carried through. I was introduced to it really young. I was an adult before I actually got my hands back into it. My wife bought me a gift, and it really reignited it in me. 2016, I ended up starting a business that was a radio control car rental business. So instead of having a pony show up at your house, we'd show up with monster trucks.
Oh, cool.
So handing off a radio to a kid and just seeing the joy in their eyes, that was it. I was sold. So we developed that business, and we eventually sold it. We then had the opportunity to come to the Ottawa Valley.
Now, Paul, you opened up your business in 2019. That was just before the global COVID-19 pandemic. Everybody remember that? Now, a lot of businesses during that period failed. They had a lot of issues. They couldn't stay in business. They had to shut down. Other ones thrived. Now, from what I understand, the hobby business actually thrived during that point. What was it like you opening up around that time, and what did you see during that pandemic? Was it good business, bad business?
Well, it was definitely exciting. I think we had just opened. I think we'd been open several months at that time, maybe even half a year or so by the time COVID came around. We were still really unsure. We were still finding our feet. And of course, like everyone else, we panicked. Everyone else kind of panicked and like wondered what's going to happen and what about my business and so on. So as we found out, I think it was 2 weeks in, we were finding out we could do curbside. And I couldn't keep inventory in. The draw, people needed something to do. So our shelves were empty. Took us a matter of a week. We couldn't get any stuff in. Of course, ordering was an issue at the time, and shipping was chaos. So we just provided and did what we could for everyone at the time. We also provided groups. So at the time, we could have 5 people, and they'd get together at one time. So we would coordinate with 5 people to meet out in like in the bushed area to go for a walk with their trail trucks. So I think it was therapeutic for a lot of people, the ability to go out and still be somewhat social, but it really involved the hobby.
It must have been kind of challenging because there would have been a lot of people getting into the hobby, but the supply chains were affected so poorly that you wanted to facilitate, you know, providing the customer, and at the same time, you weren't being able to get stuff probably from overseas, from internationally, from our own country probably at that time, right?
Yeah, we were, I mean, just like any other hobby shop, I think we were really relying on local dealers, or sorry, local warehouses. One in particular, we have a warehouse in Vancouver. And he's also a friend of mine, and I remember talking to him, and he's never seen the state of emptiness before. It was just sheer nothing.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
It's like toilet paper on the shelves.
Yeah, right, yeah. And a lot of people got reintroduced. I know a lot of people used to do models back in the day. They're like, what are we going to do? Let's buy a model. So we'd sell piles of models. It was scary, but it turned out to be very good for us.
Now, do you find that a lot of those people that kind of took on that hobby then are people that stuck with it?
Yeah, I would say we did capture an extended audience, but of course, now that things have returned back to normal, we've lost a few. But it was definitely nice to see a lot of the people rekindled. They'd come in and be like, I remember doing this as a kid. This is great that you're here. And I still stay in contact with a lot of them, but it's definitely slowed down.
Now, Paul, the hobby industry, specifically the RC car industry, is very close-knit. Now, I understand that this weekend there's an event just outside of town that you'll be a sponsor for. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, cool. So this is being held at Valley Ventures RC just in Eganville, and it's called the Ultimate RC Adventure. This is the first of its kind here. There's been events like this throughout the United States. We are hoping that this is going to be one of the biggest events in Canada. This is the first one. I had very little to do with the planning. However, we are a sponsor. We're hoping it grows.
And what would people expect out there?
Wow, lots of scale radio control cars. I mean, if you're into RC cars, I mean, we're talking a truck that has roll down windows and little pop cans inside the interior, or anything that you can imagine on a real vehicle, guys are putting into these scale trucks. The trails have little buildings and bridges, and I mean, it's more than just driving an RC truck.
And now, what about anything that might be able to be shot at the moon?
Like rockets?
Like missiles. Joking. Now, Paul, the last part of indie business is I play a couple songs inside of your business. Are you cool if I do that?
Absolutely, brother.
Okay, let's do it.
Sun, yeah, we're having fun, just a party of one. Devil hides in a Pacific Northwest truck stop, motel, souvenir shop. Rents it out on the weekends, do a one-stop shopping Bible swap. Sell lies of the weekdays, but Sunday works non-stop. Getting high with the big guy, waiting for the diss track to drop. I think I'm a danger to myself, reading out the headlines for somebody else. Half off everything at the devil's gift shop. I think I'm a stranger to myself. To myself. To myself. To myself. Yeah! Devil hides in a Pacific Northwest truck stop, motel, souvenir shop. He walks around in a red tie, says 18 wheels, he's the king of blacktop. Telling lies to all the new guys, says hell's on fire, it's a constant gridlock. Life and stock, he never asks why, he just loves to hear himself talk. danger to myself. Reading out the headlines for somebody else. Half off everything at the devil's gift shop. I think I'm a stranger to myself. To myself. To myself. To myself. Yeah! Thank you.
Thanks to Paul at 110 Hobbies. If you want to see more content just like this, make sure to like and subscribe. From Next Street Over Productions, this is Indie Business, and remember, always support the little guys.
Is that not a missile?
I think it's a rocket. We'll ask the expert later on.
Counting all the faces that we know, all of them so quick to let you go. Time is up, we're here to tell you so. Don't believe me?